is?
My name is Georgia Woodbine. I am an author, speaker, and I don't say life coach, I say lifestyle transformation coach, because I'm about changing lives and transforming minds, changing the way that you think that you can change your life. And I like to call myself a change agent because that's really what my mission is, to help people to start looking at things differently so that they can start to get different results in their life.
So I want to rewind a bit. Did I get the title of the show right?
Create the life you want.
Create the life you want. So thank you for that, because you know sometimes we need as a host, sometimes we need a little help.
No problem, no problem.
So tell us about that intro video, which was very upbeat and very empowering just to watch it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, most of the things that I talk about is just my personal life experiences and how to overcome the obstacles, the setbacks, the challenges in life, and how to move beyond that.
Correct.
And to continue to pursue your passion and your dreams and utilize your gifts and your talents and natural abilities. And that's really what that video basically encompassed. Like, what is it that you want in life? You know, you first have to confront what you want to change, because you can't change what you don't confront.
Correct.
So you ask somebody, what do you want in life? What's going to truly, truly make you happy? What's going to truly, truly make you feel complete? What's going to make you feel fulfilled as an individual? And I always say it's really finding out who you are, because so many of us are living life by default, you know, not by the power of intention, which is the way God created it to be.
That's right.
So we live our lives by default, and someone tells us this is what we should be doing, this is the career that we should have, this is the school that we should go to, this is the position that we should have on this job. But have you really stopped to think about, who am I? Who am I really? Not the person that, you know, even your parents, they gave you a name. You know, someone's always giving you, labeling you, giving you something. You know, they tell you you're a mother, or you're a daughter, or you're a sister. But who's underneath all of those titles?
All of those titles. And that's what they are. They're just titles. And we only have those titles once in life. That's it.
Absolutely.
Because it's just a name, it's just a job, it's just this. Because even someone was saying to me the other day how they love how I just move from place to place and I don't have any attachment. I just say, okay, it's time to me to move on. And they said they just like it, how easy and smooth I just do it without any kind of confusion or stress, because I know my purpose in life, as we were discussing. I know what I need to do, so when it's time to go, bye.
Exactly, exactly.
That's it.
And not having that fear of what's going to happen.
Right.
And I think everyone wants to get to that place where they can feel good about the decisions that they're making and not feel like, well, am I doing the right thing or am I not doing the right thing? And I think that when you learn to align mind, body, and soul, which is what I talk about in my latest book, Total BS, it helps you to focus on what's important and how to prioritize your life. And like you said, you know, I can make that move without hesitation because I know I'm living by the power of intention. And that also comes from living in your present. Because when you live in your present, you don't worry about your past and you don't fret about your future. You just live in the now. And when you're living in the now, it's such a freeing experience. It's such a freeing way of life because you just go day by day. You accept, not that things happen that you're, you know, that's out of your control or that you're not happy with, or you don't have bad days. We all have bad days, you know, but getting back to the center and taking that control of how you think.
Very good. As you've mentioned, I do want to show this. This is your book, Total BS. And so what does that mean?
You know, a lot of people, I love the title because people think it's total BS. You know, people use that phrase all the time. But it's not that. It's total BS. The BS stands for body and soul.
Good.
And so I was inspired to write this book because of my own personal journey with some, you know, health issues I had, and really trying to figure out, well, where do I go from here? How do I find inner peace? How do I feel, you know, how do I get to that place of personal fulfillment? And a lot of times we think it's through material things or
Right.
through external things that's going to complete the void. And what most people don't realize is when you go after those things looking for that feeling, it is just that. It's a
Right.
feeling, it's an experience. And guess what? It goes away after you get whatever it is that you want.
Exactly.
So there are other ways to get that feeling of joy, that feeling of happiness, you know, doing things that you really love to do. You don't have to wait for that moment in time and say, if I had $1 million, I would go to Italy, or I would go here, I would go there, you know,
Right.
but just living in the present and doing the things that you love to do.
Correct.
And get that feel good feeling, because that's really what we want. We
Right.
want that feel good experience. So in the book, I talk about little things that you can do to get to that experience and get to
Good.
that feeling, which is meditation, which is a big one that I talk about, how to silence the mind,
Correct.
you know, from all of the things that we're inundated with it daily, and pull back and go through self-evaluation and self-searching and
Lovely.
finding out, what is it that I want to do with my life while I'm here?
Right.
You know, what is my purpose? You know, I think the most important question people can ask themselves is why? Why am I here?
Right. Why are we here? And so once you know that, as we were discussing,
Absolutely.
I know now why I'm here, and I know my purpose in life. And so I'll be peaceful, I'll be calm, I'll be loving, because there's no questions. So once there's no questions, you are there at that plateau of peaceness. And so it's a wonderful feeling. Georgia, I do at this time, I want to bring in the second video because you've been talking about some things about your personal life. And I think this is a great video where you were sort of talking and reflecting. So at this time, we'll see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey friend, how are you doing today? I'm so excited. The books are going fast. Total BS, Body and Soul. I don't want you to miss out on an opportunity. Get your copy today at www.georgiawoodbine.com. Today I have a question to ask you. I want to find out if you are spiritually blind. What am I talking about? One might say, how do I know if I am spiritually blinded? When you're operating in this state, it becomes really, really difficult to operate at a heightened awareness level spiritually. So it almost appears as if you're in the dark. When you're spiritually blind, you'll notice that you are experiencing fear and doubt, chaos and confusion, anger and stress, negative thoughts, negative feelings, the feeling of resentment, the feeling of jealousy, the spirit of lack. That's when you know you're operating at that level, because those are the types of emotions that you feel, and that's the way you look at your life. So what happens when you're spiritually blind is obviously that you can't see, right? You can't see your way out because you're in this dark place. So you want to know, Georgia, how do I find my way out of spiritual darkness? And I'm going to tell you a few ways. So one of the ways is that you can start to focus on your gifts and talents and sharing those gifts and talents with others. You can also, think about the things in your life that, or someone that you need to forgive, so that you can move on in that more peaceful place, that inner peace state. Let go of old things, people, relationships. And I think I mentioned this before in one of my other videos, that are not serving you any purpose. You have to let go of things. Learn to let go. That's definitely a big one. Because when you learn to let go, you learn how to retrain those old thought patterns and behaviors.
Beautiful, Georgia. I couldn't have said it any better than that. Perfectly said. Wonderful reflection. So talk a little bit about spiritually blinded. It was so well said.
Thank you, thank you. I think that the mind, how the mind works, we're so used to thinking a certain way
Correct.
about things, or even been trained that way as children. So we only know what we've been taught or what we've been exposed to.
Right.
So until you start doing your own homework and realizing that there are other ways of dealing with things, and that you do have the power to change the way you're thinking about situations. You can instantly change a negative thought into a positive thought. You know, research has shown that the average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. And of those thoughts, 80% are negative and 90% are repetitive. So it's a lot easier for us to think negative. It doesn't take work. It just comes naturally.
Right.
But it takes more work to look at things in a more positive light, to think more positive, to change the situation, to make that change. I always tell people nothing happens until something moves. So if you're looking for change in your life, you first have to change the language that you're speaking to yourself.
Correct.
And that you're putting out into the universe.
It's funny, I was just having that conversation with someone where I was saying that I'm going to stop using some of those crutch words and start to increase and bring out more divine words and make myself sound more aware instead of, because we have all these little crutch words and you think, oh, I don't want to use those.
Right.
I want to sound more divinely alert and more aware.
Absolutely.
Because they keep us in this, like this darkness.
Yes.
And that's what it is. So I
Yes.
love that. Georgia, it was just so, I really do like that clip very much.
Thank you very much.
But I do want to ask you this before I forget. What inspires you?
Well, you know, what inspires me is my obstacles, really, my painful experiences. You know, I always tell people, when you have a purpose, it's always tied to your pain.
Correct.
It's tied to something that you was able to come out of. It's tied to something that you were able to change in your life and make better in your life. And then take that and share it with others so that they can come out of the darkness and that they can start to see positive things happen in their life. So that's really what inspired me. I mean, just going through all the different changes in my life and asking why. Well, why am I going through this? And why is this happening to me? And why is that happening to me? And it's better to say, why not? Because you know when these things are happening is that it's because you have a purpose. It's because something that you went through, some type of pain that you went through in your life is there to help someone else. And I had to start looking at it that way. You know, my mom told me before I wrote my first book, she told me, you're going to write a book and you're going to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. At the time I was working in entertainment. I was not thinking about a book. But it's so funny how it all manifested. And I believe that all of our gifts, all of our talents, all of our natural abilities are tied to something that we're very passionate about. And I think if most people took the time out to just find out, what is that passion? What is that one thing that I would do without getting paid for? And once you start to laser in on that, then you'll start to see some other things you're good at and some other gifts and some other skill sets that you have. And then it's almost like this box of all these things are just coming out and you're like, well, where was this? Like why didn't I know about these things? Why were they so dormant? So when you are willing to confront your fears, confront your habits, because a lot of it is us working on ourselves. You know, me as a lifestyle transformation coach, I could not tell somebody this is what you should do unless I can practice what I preach, because I was able to change my life, change the way that I think, and change the results.
Correct.
So now I can say, this is what I did. I'm not just telling you to do something.
Right.
I'm telling you what I did, the
Correct.
different steps, all the different habits I had to change, all the different actions I had to take
Right.
to get to this level in my life. It wasn't overnight. It didn't happen instantaneously. It was me having
Takes
to work around the rough edges and say, you know what, I'm willing and I'm able, and I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to live in my purpose and be the person that God created me to be.
And so we talked about that. We have to live the life that we know that's our truth and our reality. And so once you do that, people will see this person's authentic. But if you're not living the things that you're asking people to do and practice or whatever, then what are you doing? You're doing a disservice to yourself and to them.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying is absolutely correct. I would like to look at the third video now so that we can discuss that.
Do you want to become a deliberate creator and learn to change anything in your life? You have the power. Now is the time to get your mind and body right. Retrain your thoughts, take action, and create the life you want with total BS, body and soul.
So we got a little insight into your book, and what really caught my attention was a deliberate creator. Expand on that.
Absolutely. We're all deliberate creators, if you really think about it. You know, every thought that we have turns into an action. We think
Correct.
about what we're going to eat in the morning. We think about what we're going to put on in the morning.
Correct.
We think about where we're going to go, where we're going to drive, where we're going to, you know, who we're going to have lunch with, who we're going to have dinner with, who we're going to spend time with. So we're every day,
Correct.
every moment, we're deliberate creators because it first starts in the mind.
Correct.
So if most people understood that power, then they could realize that if I could think about these things and manifest these things, then why am I so afraid to think bigger? Why am I limiting myself
Right.
to be in a box when I have the power to create the things that I want to create? And I first started to see the power of this by putting my mind to work and really trusting and believing and having faith that I could create things to actually see them manifest. Even when I wrote my first book, did I know how it was going to happen? Did I know who was going to help me? Did I know? Sometimes you don't know those things.
No,
but it just...
the intention, as you said
the
earlier.
intention. When you are operating by the power of intention, people will show up in your life.
Correct.
The assistance that you need, the resources that you need,
Correct.
the information that you need, things will start to pop up into your life, and you'll start like looking around like, is this really happening? Are these things really coming to fruition?
Right.
So it really just starts with the desire. And when you have
And a
the
pure desire.
Exactly. That's true. That's very, very
'Cause
true.
we can have
You have to
desires,
have the right motive.
Yes.
You have to have the right motive,
Right.
and you have to be humble, and you have to understand that it's coming from a greater source than you.
Correct.
You're not this big person that's coming out saying, okay, this is what you need to do, and this is how did you become so knowledgeable? How did you become so wise? How did you become so authentic? Well, it comes from a spiritual source.
Correct.
You know, it comes from a greater than me. It's in me. And that's why people can receive it that way.
Sure.
When you understand that you are just a vehicle, you are just a vessel, then you understand that this is much bigger than me. This is, I am just the person here, but this is beyond Georgia.
Correct.
You know, God put this in me. This didn't just happen overnight. He deposited these seeds into me from a young child, and they manifested slowly.
Right. And so it's up to you to now bring those out and
Absolutely.
draw those out in regards
Absolutely.
to like where you are today. Georgia, we're getting close to wrapping up, but not wrapping up, but we're getting close. I do want you to share about your social media.
Platforms.
Yeah. So please tell us about that.
Well, yes, I am on Instagram, so they can find me on Instagram. I'm under Georgia Woodbine. I'm on Facebook. You could Google me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. And, you
Just
know,
give out your website.
it's www.georgiawoodbine.com.
Great, lovely.
And on my website, you know, some of the videos that you show, there are a lot of those videos, snippets, and
Okay.
there's also information about all the other products that I have, and also about all the other events that I have coming up, and speaking engagements and so forth.
Fantastic. I would like to segue now into the last video so we don't miss that. So we'll watch that now. Thank
Okay.
you.
What's that on that beat? Oh.
So, some good news you have to share with us here.
Well, I will be getting an award for Businesswoman of the Year, which
Okay.
I am so humbled and thankful to receive. You know, sometimes I always say, like we talked about the motivation and why you do what you do, and
Right.
it should never be because you want to be famous or you want to be seen or
Correct.
you want to make money.
Correct.
It should be deeper. It should be for the love. And I have the love and the passion to share my knowledge with others. And I think that once you get to that place of understanding, then you realize you never really have to chase anything. Things
Correct.
start to come to you freely and easily. So it's an honor to get that award and to be acknowledged for the work that I do. And I don't do it for that, but I do it because I want other people to realize that they have the power to make changes in their life. Once they're willing to make that decision,
Correct.
once they're willing to start changing their habits and setting goals and managing their time and looking at who they're spending their time with and who's in their circle and really looking and lasering on those things, that you can change your life.
Right.
You can have what you want. You can be what you want. You can do what you want. You just have to believe it.
Right. You know, I was sitting here just listening to you and looking at you. First of all, I want to say that I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you.
I really feel the warmth and sincerity as you're speaking. Seeing you here in person and you're a different, the energy is different, and it's a good first of the year show because the viewers will get a lot from what you've had to say. It's been very empowering, very engaging, and very real. And so I'm glad because it just gives them a good segue into the start. It's a good month to do this. And so, Georgia, I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad that I decided to do the show, and because it's important for the viewers to hear what you have to say. It's very uplifting, very encouraging. You've said some very important, vital things that can help many. So I really want to thank you for that. Just one or two last words, if you can just tell the viewers what they could do to just get started.
Okay, well, I just want to say thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate the opportunity. And if I had to leave them with a few things, it would be, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's a famous quote. And I believe that when you start to apply yourself to something, and once you start to continuously, it's like a seed, like a plant. You continue to water it. It's going to grow. It's going to manifest. Just whatever it is in your life that you've been working at, or that you have a passion for, or you just really wish that you could do this full time, whatever it is, continue to feed it. Because one day you're going to wake up and it's just going to blossom. And then you'll look back and say, wow, this is why I went through what I went through. And you will have such a greater appreciation for where you've gone and what you've experienced. And it just makes you a better person, and it builds a stronger foundation for the things to come. So don't abort the process, and don't be afraid of a few disappointments and a few obstacles and a few setbacks and a few challenges. It's part of success. You know, someone was asking me about failure of success and fear of failure. I said, I wish they would take the word failure out the dictionary, because I don't believe in failure. I just believe in setting you up for other opportunities.
Georgia, thank you. So,
thank you.
To my wonderful viewers, Happy New Year, the best to you, 2018, may it be full and rich of everything. And to